We wanted an area where we would be improving the human condition in line with our vision, but we also wanted something with big market opportunity and where Israel has unique strengths. We fell onto the Agtech area, and I want to explain a little bit about why, because it's an area that we are very excited about. We made a strategic decision 2 years to focus on it, and I'd like to share with you some of the thought process that went into why we chose that area and how we got to these 5 great companies that you're going to be looking at today. Now, food is an enormous business. I don't have to tell you that. In the U.S. alone, it's over a $200 billion business. I know that in Michigan, it's a big part of the economy, despite the high-tech and the manufacturing economies that we have in southeast Michigan and perhaps in southwest Michigan. It's a big industry. Despite the fact that it's an enormous industry in the U.S. and all around the world, there are still almost 1 billion people a day who go to bed hungry every night. It's a real disaster at the human level, and unfortunately, the problem is getting worse. Agriculture is very dependent or very fragile because of problems of land availability, arable land, problems of water resources, and climate change. These are all things that are affecting and dramatically making it harder and harder to feed the 7 billion people who live on this planet. And while there are 7 billion people who live on the planet today, it's estimated that within the next 20 or 30 years, the population of the world is going to grow to 9 billion people. So we have to keep feeding and producing more and more food. Not only do we have to produce more food because the population is growing, but the population is also changing in terms of their economic structure and also their expectations. In developing countries like China and industry, you have a rapidly growing middle class. When you have a rapidly growing middle class, their needs for food and what they want to eat changes. Suddenly they want to be eating more meat, more proteins, more fish. And the question is, where are you going to get that food? How are you going to feed those people? Problems like drought have become very prevalent around the world, probably as a result of global warming, but we don't have to discuss that. And it's controversial in some places. But nevertheless, drought is a fact. Israel has had a terrible drought for the last 6 or 7 years. This year we had the good fortune of a very rainy winter, but you know it's going to be next year. The Midwest in the United States had a terrible drought last year that had an enormous impact on the prices of commodities. Places like China suffer from tremendous climate problems, including drought in some areas and flooding in others, all of which have a big impact on the availability of food. At the same time, arable land is declining. The amount of land that we have to grow things on is limited. We can't decide we're going to expand onto the moon or Mars to grow more product. So we have a limited amount of land in many places of the world. Arable land is becoming desertified, and so it's actually reducing. In other places, we have reducing stocks. The stock of fish available from the sea has been declining steadily over the past 15 years. And when you look at how much fish are caught in the wild, it's actually been declining over the last 15 years, despite the growing demand for fish. And the only place that we can get fish proteins these days is by growing them. So there's a huge need for food. And the only solution is going to be technology. The only way to feed more people more effectively, cost effectively, is going to be by improving yields, and that's where we see the opportunity. Israel, for better or for worse, has been dealing for the last 65 years or more with many of the problems that today the rest of the world is only beginning to wake up to. Problems of water quality and poor water or lack of water is something that we've suffered and had to deal with for many, many years. Problems of arable land. Only 15% of the land mass of Israel is arable at all, and even the land that we have is generally poor quality, a very sandy soil, without a lot of nutrients. So problems of land. And of course, harsh climate. Israel has a very harsh climate. Those of you who've been to Israel know that well over half of our land mass is desert. The rest of it is hot, very hot in the summer, hot and dry for 6 to 8 months of the year. We have a rainy season. The rains are not predictable. And so we have a very harsh climate that makes it difficult to grow product. All of those things have come together to result in something rather amazing from our perspective. That amazing thing is that Israel has become a world leader in developing technologies for the food industry and for the agriculture industry. When we started investing in this area, I was astonished to discover that in Israel, a country of just under 8 million people, there are over 200 research institutions doing what? Groups. over 200 groups, thank you, over 200 research groups doing research in agricultural technology. That's amazing in a country of only 8 million people, 200 research groups. We have world-leading universities and research institutions, the Weizmann Institute in Rehovot, Hebrew University and its agricultural faculty, also in Rehovot, are considered world leaders in lots of areas relating to plants and plant genetics and developing agricultural technologies. Similarly, the Volcani Institute, also known as the Agricultural Research Organization, is a governmental research organization that's a world leader in developing technologies. Israel has world-class farmers who have developed amazing technologies, and as a result, we've become world leaders in areas including dairy farm management, water management, crop protection, and a whole field of areas. Some of these companies you may know. Nitafim was basically the first company to take drip irrigation and make it ubiquitous around the world, cutting water consumption in many places by 60 and 70%, the consumption by farmers. Afi Milk is a world leader in automation of the dairy barn in terms of monitoring what happens in the barn. They can know what every single cow is doing, the output, the quality, and Sarai Kemp was with us here today. Can tell us more about that at some point if we're interested. Sarai was at Afi Milk as doing business development for them in the Far East before she joined our organization. We're very glad to have her. Israel invented not only the drip irrigation, but we also invented cherry tomatoes, and the list goes on and on and on. It's just an incredible place. Despite that, when we started thinking about investing in agritech, we discovered that with all these areas of excellence, no one was doing it. No one was investing in early stage technologies in the agricultural area. And that astonished us. In other areas, Israel has become a powerhouse, a startup nation, to quote the book, in information technology, in communications technologies, in medical technologies. Not too long ago, I read that between 1/3 and 1/2 of all new medical device innovation in the world comes from Israel. That's mind-boggling to me. The same thing could be true in agritech, because we have the ability, we have the intellectual property, we have the expertise, but we don't have the economic infrastructure, the investment economic structure, and that's where we decided to come in and to start investing. We decided to set up a cluster at our Mofet Venture Accelerator to start investing in agritech. And we started doing it about 2 years ago. We hired Dr. Nitza Kardish, who'll meet me in a couple minutes, to head that effort. And a big part of why we're here today in Michigan and why we're in the U.S. in general is to tell you and to proselytize and to create partnerships, or to reach out to create partnerships. Because we know in Israel, this was a small country, we're far away from our major markets. We know that reaching out and developing partnerships is crucial to our success. We're thrilled to be here with the MIBB because that's exactly what they do. They create a bridge between Israel and Michigan. We already have some Michigan contacts, but not enough. We're connected to Stryker in Kalamazoo. We're connected to Dow in Southwest Michigan, a major agrichem company. We have contact with Open Prairie Ventures, which is a Michigan-based venture firm in the agritech and medical device area. But we're looking to create more partnerships because we know that without those partnerships, our companies can't succeed.